and welcome to For Further Review. I have two guests with me today. I have Dr. Kim Fowler, who is the principal of Bradley Academy, and I have Mr. Gary Anderson, who is the director of Finance and Administrative Services. We're in our fourth week of school, and you had a celebration, though, the other day at Bradley. Can you talk a little bit about the celebration you had?
Yes, at Bradley, we've had a two-story building since, when it was built in the 1950s, the particular wing. But this week our elevator was dedicated. I can't tell you what the difference an elevator makes in an elementary school with two levels. I guess it was 2 years ago when I was first at Bradley, we had a sixth grade student who had to have surgery, hip surgery, and we ended up by not having an elevator, the parent chose to have their child go on to the Rutherford County School to finish out his sixth grade year. And it just broke my heart because the child had been with us since kindergarten, wanted to graduate with his peers, but he was going to be wheelchair bound, and the father didn't want to inconvenience the school by having the classes moved downstairs. So that really started me really wondering, what can we do to really start pushing to have an elevator at Bradley. At different times we've had medical emergencies up on the second floor where people had to come down. So having that stress relief, in a sense, off so that the whole community can have access to the upper floors really makes having the elevator just a wonderful tool. It was so funny on the day that we had the dedication on Friday, found out one of my students had never ever been on an elevator, and he had been looking at it and looking at it. He's relatively new to the country, had never been on an elevator, and he just kept looking. And so he was one of the kids that got to ride the elevator as the first group of kids to go up and down. So it was exciting for the children. They find it a novelty. They're glad that our school has that extra level of support. We also have a community volunteer that comes in frequently and works with some of our older kids, and he's wheelchair bound, and now he's going to be able to go up and go to the classrooms and see his kids that he works with after school at the Patterson Center. He's going to be able to see them in their classrooms and be more of an integral part. So we're very excited for the whole community to have the elevator.
Good, thank you. Mr. Anderson, you were there the other day. Can you kind of describe what that day was like? With a ribbon cutting on an elevator, I think might be a little unusual. Can you kind of talk about that day?
Yes, it was actually a very exciting day for the school because the school was built in 1955, and so they hadn't had that ability before. What was neat about it was all the children there lined up. They got to cut a ribbon to make it official. They got to ride with celebrity riders to go up and down in the elevator. And then we gave every one of the children a piece of the ribbon that they cut. So it was really, really neat for them to have that opportunity. And they ran a contest at the school to see the first one out of each class to get to ride the elevator. So it was just a very special day, and just to see how they lit up on their faces was just wonderful.
Now, you mentioned celebrities. What kind of celebrities did we have at Bradley?
We had the best celebrities in the city of Murfreesboro. We had the mayor there. We had police officers. We had even a very special guest that has their own TV show. The one and only Murph was there to ride on the elevator with the children. And they were just so neat when they were talking with Murph, how excited they were to see that. So we just had some board members, and we had a city council member there as well. So.
Good. Now, Dr. Fowler, we've been in school now for 4 weeks. School year has been smooth for you?
It has been the best school year ever.
Wow.
I have been a principal for 16 years. And this school start for us at Bradley, I think, has been about the best that we've had. And I think it's because the needs of the children are really better met by some of the structural changes that we've made. I think the number one for us is a little bit later start time. our students in the previous years had been, we started at 7:30. So we had students that were getting to school at 6:45 to eat breakfast, meaning that they were getting on the bus at some of them as early as 10 minutes till 6. So this year we have an 8:30 start time, and we're having breakfast in the classroom, which utilizes our time a lot more effectively. The students come in at 8:10. The buses are getting there between 8:15 and 8:20. At 8:20, we start, as the students come in, they're given their breakfast. The teachers are having their morning meetings or story time or just quiet time together. By 8:40, we're rocking and rolling, and we've done the announcements, and everybody's had breakfast. I think we're running about 100% eating breakfast at Bradley. So all the kids are getting breakfast. They're getting a lot more sleep, which is huge for the children. Many of them, getting up to catch a bus before 6 o'clock, they were getting up 5:15, 5:30. Many of them, some, go to bed at 9, 10 o'clock at night. And so when they were getting up so early in the morning, they were cranky, tired. We were having a difficult time utilizing their time for learning. I think the children had a lot of sit time and wait time. But now with the breakfast in the classroom, it's a good community building time, just like when we enjoy going out and having a meal with a group of friends. It builds camaraderie. It builds closeness with other people. And I think having that opportunity with the breakfast in the classroom and having our morning meetings at the same time to talk about character or issues or different things in the classroom, it just gives it a real communal feel. And the children are calm. They're happy. We're happy. I just think both of those two structural changes have greatly benefited just the daily life of our students at Bradley. It's the best.
Okay, good. Mr. Anderson, any challenges this year to the start of school?
Well, every year there's challenges, especially in getting it started with our transportation, getting everyone settled in on our food service program, and any kind of adjustments to the classrooms. But this year, with changing the bell times, created some new challenges, but gave us some great opportunities to better utilize our bus service. Once we got worked out, it eliminated the bus room duties in the afternoons because the buses are there, ready to go, so we don't have to worry about that now. And those were some of the challenges, but specifically at Bradley, they've grown 31 students. They've grown 9% this year over last year at the end of the school year. So that was really good to see that they've grown like that. In fact, they're above the projections of what we had projected they would be. So Bradley is attracting students to the school, and people wanting to stay there, and it's just a great learning environment in that school.
Okay. Could you talk a little more about the reason for the bell time changes? Because I know we had several schools that changed. Could you give us the why behind that?
Sure. The reason we did bell times is to best utilize our bus services. We have so many buses, and yet we had bell times that didn't allow us to best utilize it. They would be within 15 minutes apart. So what we've done is we've split the district into two distinct bell times, 1 hour apart. That gives the buses an opportunity to do their run and get to the next school ready to go and load for the next group of children to get on board. So it let us utilize what we had to the fullest potential and really take away the hassle of having to deal with bus rooms. And some schools had to wait as much as 30 to 45 minutes after school was released to get a bus. Well, we've eliminated that by changing our bell times and splitting our number of buses needed for the first run and the second run now. So now it's much more even.
Could we have not done that with just purchasing more buses?
Well, we would have had to buy so many buses, and we would have to have hired so many more drivers and bus assistants, and the buses cost over $100,000. And when you add a bus driver and a bus assistant, it's $50,000 every year that you have to put into that. Could we have done it? I guess we could have, but we would have been buying so many more buses. This was the most efficient use of the school system's money and the taxpayer money to do it this way. And really, the comments we have received have been just outstanding, that they can't believe now the buses are sitting there waiting for them to load and go. And in the mornings, the buses are there, ready to drop the children off in time for their breakfast and get ready to start the school day.
Okay. Let me stay with you, Mr. Anderson, for one more question. We just left Hobgood, and we had a celebration over there as far as ribbon cutting. I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that, and then I'd like for you to follow up with where we are on the new Overall Creek School. So if you could talk about the Hobgood ribbon cutting and then talk with us about Overall Creek.
Sure. The Hobgood, we had our official ribbon cutting today. We've received our certificate of occupancy to utilize all the areas of the school. There's a few little things that have to be done. As everyone knows, we kind of had a very rough summer as far as rain, which was very unexpected, which kind of slowed the outside progress of the school. But we've added about 11,000 square feet to the building. We've added a new media center, a new office complex. Remember, this school was built also in the 50s, and the way schools are utilized today is nothing like they were back then. So now we have given them the conference room, the meeting rooms, the media center. We've given them a dining room that had one of the smallest dining rooms in the district, and we've expanded the dining room, expanded the kitchen. And one of the big changes I think people need to be aware of, this school has the largest walk-in refrigerator in the district. And the reason for that is the food programs are changing. What used to be all canned goods that used to come in for a school nutrition program, then a few years ago, probably about 12 to 15 years ago, it switched over to a lot of frozen product. Well, now the switch is to fresh produce. So this one has the biggest area for the fresh produce, and we've shrunk the stock room down tremendously in the school, and we've added smaller freezer units. So that's been good, and we're very excited about that school. It looks absolutely wonderful. The new school is now under construction over on the west side of town, Overall Creek, and that school is designed to hold 1,000 students, and it's going to be the largest square foot school that we have in the district, and it is a 2-story school. And we're very excited about that one getting ready to open up a year from now in 2014.
Okay. Dr. Fowler, you've been here 3 years now.
Yeah.
First of all, welcome again.
Thanks.
Could you talk a little bit about the changes you have seen in this district in the last 3 years, particularly at Bradley? Because Bradley's undergone a lot of change, and needless to say, you're an excellent administrator, and I appreciate your being here. But could you talk about the changes that you have seen at Bradley?
Well, I think thinking about changes at Bradley, it goes back to teachers, and it goes back to what the big people in the building do. And that children will be successful if we as the adults, parents, teachers, educational assistants, bus drivers, if we're all in a common focus on what's important during the school day. And I think that's the first step that probably we as a group of adults at Bradley started to work on. We started thinking about what did we want for our children. What kind of school would we want for our own child? And we started looking at visioning what our kids would look like if school were the way we'd want it for our own child. And I think those types of conversations, breaking the faculty apart into little groups and discussing different pieces about how can we make our school the school that everyone in Murfreesboro would want their child to attend. I think that envisioning process was probably a very vital process, but also having those high expectations for ourselves, number one, and for our children. Realizing that certain expectations that many teachers had were very behavioral. For example, a child was doing well in school if they stood quietly in line, or if they followed the directions exactly the first time in the first way. When really in life, very rarely do people walk down the halls with their hands behind their backs and not talking. That we have to, in life, learn to control our own emotions and learn to be self-sustaining and learning to be resilient. Teaching our children to look about where they are academically, for example. where they see, oh man, I've got to work on these multiplication facts, and showing the children this is where you are, this is where you need to go, when we work with them. Then they can graph their progress. I can read 32 words a minute this week. Next week my goal is to have 41, and if I do, I get a Bradley buck. That they can choose to spend in the store. Those types of envisioning to teach children to be resilient, to teach them to be proactive, to teach them how important it is to speak appropriately to one another. It helped us this year. We have taken our student pledge. We have redone our student pledge. Before it was be respectful, be responsible, be safe, all behavioral. Now we talk a lot about having good integrity. We talk about working hard. We talk about persevering. Great words, but also words that we try to model each day as we work for the children. So they'll be ready not to just be followers or to just have a job where somebody's always telling them what to do, but that they can have the tools and the communication skills to create, that they can have the communication skills to create something new. That's what people are going to be valuing in the future. There's going to be very few jobs out there where a robot can't do them. So our kids are going to have to be able to think. They're going to have to be able to write. They're going to have to be able to communicate. So using our arts program as an integral part of that, instead of a separate add-on piece, which is the way it seemed when I got there. It was just like the arts are over here and everybody else is over here, and nobody knew what each other were doing. And now it's all it's all a system base. Master scheduling, interventions that are targeted on what the kids need, 90 minutes of interventions for all the kids at their instructional level. I think all of that has come together, but it would have never come together without those teachers and their willingness to really to think about what our expectations were, because that was a huge piece. And I do believe that we're all pretty much in one accord and marching together to the same drummer. And I see nothing but even greater things for Bradley Academy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your vision. Mr. Anderson, thank you for being here tonight.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Dr. Fowler, it's a real pleasure to work with both of you. Thank you so much. And thank you for your support of Murfreesboro City Schools.